Hello and welcome to the Halfback Podcast, head of NRL Round 1. I'm your host, Tim Williams, and the boys are absolutely up and about. Not just because the season has kicked off, not just because we have 6 more games coming this weekend, but we've started hot. And boy, does it feel good. We'll get to the results shortly. But my guest on today's show, my co-host, known to most for his exploits on Bloke in a Bar and the SC Playbook NRL Supercoach podcast, Matty the Waterboy. How are you, Matty?
Hey, Timmy, how are you? Yes, the boys have started well, but given it was my first episode, I'm not going to lie, I was feeling the pressure. When I was watching those Vegas games, I was like, geez, I can't start the year none from 3. I got to get that monkey off the back. So really, really glad that, the one of them came through. One of them almost came through, and then one of the season locks, there's a bit of hope there. So, yeah, sorry, not the season locks, season bets, there's a bit of hope there. So, yeah, not a bad start. Very happy.
So funny, like you have your average NRL supporter who's just diehard about their team. Then you have the Supercoach fanatics, and I'm watching all these players that are so irrelevant to the average rugby league watcher because of Supercoach. But then you add like your tips from this podcast on top of it, and I hate when I have like my lock of the week anytime try scorer in the final game of the round. I love just getting it over and done with early, so I don't need to stress about it. I'm either all systems go into the weekend, or I'm like, I've lost, move on, let's enjoy the rest of the weekend. So it does put a bit of pressure on. Anyway, guys, if you are tuning in for the first time this season and you're listening in, we are on YouTube as well in 2026, the Halfback Podcast, which is exciting. Samuel Williams, also known as my brother, former member of this podcast, not with us this season, not because we've had a blow-up. There hasn't been a Johnsy blow-up. Sam is the new head coach of the Northern Pride in the Queensland Cup, so legally he's not allowed to put punts on and be involved with betting. We've lost him. Jimmy Hughes, the data man. He will be back in and out this season. He has just had his second child, though, so congratulations to Jimmy. I've also got him, even when he's not on the show, he's going to send through his lines and his plays for each week, but he has informed me that the model needs a few rounds, so 2 rounds, so round 3 to kick into gear to get that sample size for the plays to come to fruition. So they'll be coming moving forward as well, and hopefully some appearances from Jimmy on the show. On today's show, though, we're going to drop our lock value and Hail Mary bets for NRL Round 1, Part 2 of Round 1, the following 6 games, as well as get to our head-to-head tips for the remainder of Round 1. Time for the weekly recap, though, Matty, and enjoy this while it lasts, because we might have one of the greats punting seasons of all time and just become generational heroes. Punting doesn't always work that way. So I finished in the green last year based on grand final day, getting over by the skin of the teeth. But I'm not going to get complacent with that very minor win. However, let's start with your season long tip. And guys, jump back, listen to last week's show, because we did put our futures bets on, our top try scorers, our season long bets, all sorts of things. They're very hard on the Rabbitohs. I was shocked. But Matty, Murray Taulagi at $51, you had him as the top try scorer in 2026. Kicked off with a double in Vegas. Looking all right. I think those odds have crunched as well.
Yeah, so after this podcast went live, the odds kind of came in a little bit just before the game. Not much, just a little bit. I was like, oh, a bit of market moving there, which is, funny.
The bookmakers love the Halfback Podcast, and they heard you drop and they just went...
I think so. But thankfully got on it at the 51s. But now after his double, he's into $20. And if it was like a really, really good team that absolutely stole the show in Vegas, I'd be like, whatever, it's just a winger that scored a double. The Cowboys were terrible. And he still scored a double. And that's kind of what I said last week. Like, I don't expect them to win games. In fact, everything I said kind of came true. I don't expect them to win games, but they will have points in them. Now, it kind of did come true. Not really. Their attack was terrible. But again, he still managed to score 2 tries, and I expect that to go on for the rest of the year. The only thing that'll stop it really is injuries, but you can say that about any player. And I know Murray Taulagi's had his concerns in the past, but yeah, he's into $20 now. So I think that's the point. You find good value, and you kind of chase the value, and that's what I've done. And it's kind of already, I mean, it hasn't paid off, but it's tracking in the right direction.
Matty, even if he doesn't win the mantle of top try scorer, you were there to find value for the punters, and the fact that he's reeled in $30 already,
exactly.
You've at least partially done your job, as you said. I'll tell you where you did do your job, and mate, we both nailed this as our lock of the week. We didn't conspire off the cameras, but we both had the Knights and the Cowboys over 40.5 total match points at $1.95. Tick, tick, thank you for coming. Your value player of the week, You're a bit hard done by here. Yeah, you were.
Uh,
Yeah, you had Fletcher Sharp into
mm,
Jackson Purdue. This is where I think you've forgotten. In your head, did you have them as a multi? Because you had them to combine for 2 or more tries at 770.
yes.
So
Yep.
Sharp went off injured, mate. He would have scored about 6 tries the way he was tracking in that game. He was
Oh,
unbelievable, the
yeah,
best player
true.
on the field. So Sharp scored, I think his first try scored about 10 minutes into the game. Purdue obviously didn't get across the stripe, but again, Drinky being off with that rib cartilage injury probably didn't help you at all. But, mate, Fletcher Sharp scored 1, couldn't get the 2 across the line. You Hail Mary, Damien Cook, you called him to play 80. He was outstanding at $11 anytime try scorer. No good there. Nonetheless, Matty, green arrows to start your season.
Beautiful. Love that.
Mm.
Yeah, the reason the Fletcher Sharp thing, I guess because in my head, and I probably didn't say this last week, but out of the two, Fletcher Sharp was my secondary pick. I had Purdue as the guy to score. I thought he was more likely to score a double.
Okay.
But Fletcher Sharp was my second pick. So just because Jackson Purdue didn't look like scoring at all, I feel like I got that one wrong. But you're right. If Sharp did stay on the field, then I did. What's the word? Kind of hedge the bets a little bit. And if he did stay on, he probably would have scored a double. So I guess you could say hard done by, but yeah, not a bad start.
You're way too humble, Matty, for this podcast tonight. We'll knock that shit off you very, very quickly. Mate, for myself, speaking of green arrows and speaking of being humble, lock in. Lock of the week, the $1.95 overs match points. My value of the week. You know what? I played it a little bit conservatively, but sometimes you got to do that. Just ease into the season. You don't need to go too hard too early. Fletcher Sharp, anytime try score $3.50, took 10 minutes. Thank you. Hail Mary, no good there. Nonetheless, mate, I've got a pretty well unattainable lead. I'm at 114% ROI, return on investment for the season. You are next on plus 27%. So we're both in the green to start the year, and that's all that matters, really. But more so the fact that I'm in front of you for the time being. Guys, you're on the hunt for a bookmaking partner at SC Playbook in 2026. If you're in the business, whether you're a large or small bookie, please reach out via our email at supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. That is Supercoach, the full word, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about our numbers and what we can offer in that partnership. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Matty, let's move on to our bets for round one, part two of round one. The way we do this, 65% of our bet goes towards our lock, 25% goes to our value, and 10% goes to our Hail Mary. I'll throw to you, mate, your lock of the week. What have you found with the 6 games to come?
Pretty tough round. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of close games this week that I easily think the favorite could lose. Like, for example, I think there's every chance Para could beat Melbourne. I think there's every chance the Warriors could get up. I think Penrith might win. Raiders and Canberra being a pick'em, I don't understand that. South as well. So it's a bit of a tough week. And I thought I'd continue the theme of last week of overs and unders with the lock. I just think that South and the Dolphins, the over-under line for that is 43.5, so a little bit more than what the line was last week. But last time they played, the Dolphins beat South, I think it was 58-30 or something, or maybe 50-28 or something. There was points aplenty, right? And still Dolphins absolutely smoke South. In the last 6 games the Dolphins have played at Suncorp Stadium, and it's in the afternoon, by the way. There is a tiny bit of rain forecast at some point throughout the day, but not much at all. The last 6 times they've played at Suncorp Stadium, they've gone overs. They were the best attacking team in the comp last year. Again, 50-28 last game. I think the odds might be a little lower because of South's attack last year. It was pretty poor, but obviously it's a new team. It's a whole new bunch of players playing. There's a breath of fresh air in that squad. I reckon there's going to be points aplenty in this game. So I'm going South Dolphins over 43.5 at $1.90.
I quite like it. And look, I haven't replicated your lock of the week with mine this week, but I've gone down a similar vein and I've attacked that game as well, basically for the reason that I like certain players, I like certain edges, but I think you're right. A Sunday afternoon game, Suncorp Stadium, I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. That is why I've gone to Selwyn Cobbo at $2.10 anytime try scorer as my lock of the week. Cobbo last week, if you tuned in, was also my futures bet. Top try scorer in the NRL this season at $51. That is the value you can get for the left winger at the Dolphins. The Dolphins last year, they scored 56% of their tries down that left edge, scored 26% down their right edge. So the left side is the hot spot. Why? We've spoken about it on Supercoach podcast, everything throughout the season. The Isaiah Katoa effect, the way that he gets in the line, the way he squares up, the way he gets defenders to turn hips, the amount of space he creates for Herbie Farnworth and whoever the winger might be on any given week is unbelievable. So I think that he's going to be an absolute goldmine for scoring for the Dolphins this season. As I said, he's my futures bet and he's my lock of the week this week, Selwyn Cobbo at $2.10. Adding into that, he's going at Ashton Ward's edge. Ashton Ward, good footballer, but new to the NRL. He's a smaller body. I think they're going to attack there. You've got a good defensive edge, but Aitken, Whiten, Campbell Graham, there's new combinations there. Whiten's gone over to the right edge, Campbell Graham to the wing. So I think there's going to be opportunities. So I've gone to Selwyn Cobbo. Matty, like it, hate it? What are your thoughts?
I don't mind it. Are you worried that Herbie Farnworth's got glue on his hands?
To a degree, yes, but I also think Jack Whiten is an outstanding defensive centre, and I think he's going to be good enough to at least jam or get good contact on Herbie Farnworth. So I think that space is going to open up on the back. Like, Herbie does have glue in his hands a lot and tends to take the line on himself, but I think with Jack there, that's going to be harder to do. So I think as soon as he gets a bit of space there, he'll be happy to tip it on, knowing that Jack Whiten does not let many people through one-on-one. So, which is possibly going to go against a little one of my bets later on. Nonetheless, I am all in on that edge. Mate, your value player of the week, 25% of your bet.
Yeah, so I've gone a little more conservative on this week, but again, kind of like last week, I was just hunting the bookies up and down, just trying to find what I think is overpriced. I think that I'm going to go to Penrith versus Broncos. And I'm not sure what the odds are in this game. I think Broncos are favourites. I think Penrith are going to win for these following reasons. One, it's the big rematch from the prelim last year. I think Penrith, they would have been thinking about that game pretty much every day since that game happened, right? The Broncos have just come from the other side of the world, so their preparations have been heavily disrupted by playing the World Club Challenge. They got pumped in the World Club Challenge. Do I really read into that? Not particularly, but it's not nothing, right? I think the Penrith Panthers are going to win at Suncorp Stadium on Friday night, but I don't think they're going to smoke them. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Penrith Panthers paying 1-12 is paying $3.60.
Yeah, tight. I like that. Mate, I'm with you. I think Penrith win. I wanted to play around that game, but Brisbane are just such a wild card, aren't they? I know that sounds funny to say about a team who finished so hot last season, but they still feel like it to me. But I'm with you. I think, will there be some complacency potentially set in off the back of their premiership? Maybe, maybe not. They've got Madge Maguire there. I think the World Club Challenge loss will be a wake-up call they probably needed, but I'm with you. I think the Penrith Panthers near enough fully fit. They're losing Liam Martin, but I think they win. And as I said, if they do, I think you're on the money. It's going to be tight. So we'll get to tips later, but I'm tipping them as well. Mate, my value player of the week, I have 2 try scorers that I found this week that I think I value and more to the point have great matchups. I've gone Latrell Mitchell, anytime try scorer, into Sam Stone Street at $4.36. I mean, people have listened to this podcast in the past, know my thoughts on Jake Averillo, exceptional attacking footballer, has his flaws in defence. Latrell running Jake Averillo, thank you very much. Bunnies, left side, strong side, this elite combo that's going to come together with Cody Walker, Dave Fafita's over there, Alex Johnston, who's about to break the try-scoring record. The stars are aligning. I think Latrell on Jake Averillo, like, good luck, young fella. Sammy Stone Street, I love the left edge of the Sharkies this week. They scored 46% of all their tries down the left edge last week. I expect Stone Street to play on the left and Sione Katoa to stay on the right. 46% of their tries on their left, 30% on their right last season. Running at that edge, it's very much a rookie edge and a new-look edge. They've got Lockie Ilias, Arama Howe, Jojo Fafita, and they've got Faya Marnie, the debutant as well. I think the Sharkies are going to have a lot of success down there. And I think if you want a bit more value or you're playing anytime try scorers, Kale Iro is a great player as well, a bit extra value there. But yeah, Latrell into Sammy Stone Street at $4.36. Matty, Hale. Yeah.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to comment on that bet. I really like this bet. I think Latrell and Averillo is such a juicy matchup. Like, yeah, I think Latrell's getting over. And Stone Street, I know he's kind of started his career a little bit, I don't know, with a few errors in his game, but he's a born finisher. He's a born try scorer. And yeah, I think he's going to have a good year, Stone Street. So I really like that one, Timmy.
I was playing around with, I was initially just going to go the straight Latrell points scored market. You get 12 points at about $3.80. And I was like, I was going through games that he played in the past where he'd actually scored that many points. And I'm like, I just felt like the market didn't quite add up to the odds. And I was like, it was $2.50 just to score a try alone. I'm like, I'm not going to risk that because if they win 18-10 or something, he's scored a try and kicked 3 goals, he still might not get there. So I didn't actually love the value, but Latrell into Sammy, thank you. Mate, your Hail Mary of the week, 10% of your play.
Yeah, I found this one a bit tougher than the other two, obviously, because the odds are way higher. But yeah, I was pretty quick to find those two first ones because I'm just so confident on both of them. This one took a bit of digging, but I'm very confident on it once I found it. So I've gone to the Roosters versus Warriors game. Honestly, anything could happen in this game. This game I've got no real idea about. But what I do know is that the Roosters' attack this year is probably going to be – it probably is one of the biggest questions going into the NRL this year, like for any team. But just going off the trial, I know they lost to the Eels, but Sammy Walker looked like he was in control. I think he put Crichton over for one of those tries, or maybe Crichton passed it off at the end, but there was that good combination there. I think that's going to be big this year. And Daniel Tupou is just in the try-scoring form of his life. So that's for the Roosters. For the Warriors, it's the first game at home. I think the Roosters are probably going to win. Again, who knows? But like the Warriors at home just screams Dallin Wateni's Lesniak scoring pretty much at all times, right? So that one's a bit vibey, but the Roosters one, the Roosters left edge are going at that Warriors right edge, which defensively pretty bad last year. So it's pretty much the Roosters good side going up against the Warriors bad side. So I've got Angus Crichton, Daniel Tupou, and DWZ to combine. So all of them to combine for 4 or more tries. So that means that, 2 of them could score 2 each, or they could all score 1 each and one of them scores a double, or maybe one of them scores 4. It doesn't matter. They just have to combine for 4+ tries each, and that's paying $11.
Very nice. That'll turn a profit for the week. I wanted to play around with that game. I think the Roosters finish higher on the ladder, but I don't mind the Warriors. Again, we're looking from a punting perspective at value. I think they're value odds-wise. First game at home, Roosters coming in favourites. It's a pretty good 1-13 and 1-17 defensively, the Roosters, especially when you look at their centres of Billy Smith and Rob Toyer. I was kind of battling to work out where the Warriors were going to get through them, but and we'll get to tips very shortly. Mate, for my Hail Mary, 10% of my play, 2 blokes that I've touched on, similar edges, same logic. Herbie Farnworth and Kale Iro to score tries into Tolutau Kola. I mean, Herbie himself, I sort of spoke about Cobbo, and I mentioned the Jack White matchup, a good defender. I get it. I'm also backing, though, just the fact that the left edge of the Dolphins is just going to be elite and Herbie's going to get enough of an opportunity there. So he's $2.50 himself, hence why I wanted to throw him in. But, mate, Tolutau Kola, you can get Tolutau Kola. You can get him at $2.80 himself. So that's the third leg. It pays $13.24 in total, but he's going to have that matchup unless they switch edges to Sasangi and Chris, which I wouldn't imagine they would, but it's going to be Kola versus Sasangi. Now, Sasangi's a gun. He deputised at centre a bit last year and he did really well. But at the end of the day, you've still got one of the most fleet-footed, quick centres in the game that's going to be one-on-one with a back rower. That's all you need to look at. You add in there a fully fit Tom Trebojevic feeding him. That's where they're going to identify. That's where they're going to attack. So I like Tolutau Kola alongside Iro and Herbie at $13.24. Matty, I'm going to throw another speculator at you.
Okay.
If you've got a spare little 5 in your kitty, don't deposit it, but if you've got it in your punting account already, Moala Graham Taufa. Alex Johnston is in doubt for this game. We expect him to play, right? But he's genuinely in doubt, yeah?
Yeah, he's in doubt, yep.
He's in doubt. If he is out, I would imagine Graham Taufa plays left wing.
Yep.
Because I assume they'll keep Campbell Graham on the right. They don't have any other outside backs on their extended bench that would slot in there. The only exception would be is if they wanted to put Ewan Aitken at centre, start Tallis Duncan, and then maybe they could play again, they're still not going to move White and or Latrell to the wing. So I think it'd be Graham Taufa. Mate, $6 with PointsBet. So
Wow.
he could land in one of the most golden positions in the game if he plays. So the play might even be, I don't know what it is for 2 or more tries, but he was $6 on PointsBet to score any time. Just don't do any more than your sneaky little fiver. But if AJ gets ruled out, Graham Taufer goes to about $1.40 to score. Just saying, do with that information as you will.
Can I add to that, Timmy? Now, I did not expect you to say that at all, and I have not thought about that at all. But Campbell Graham has there was reports today that he's got calf tightness. So I think he's in the tiniest bit of doubt himself. Now, I think at this point he's playing, but that kind of fuels your point. It's probably worth getting on him because either one of our wingers could go down or even just come off, to be honest. So I like it, Timmy. I'm going to do that myself.
Mate, once the head honchos at PointsBet tune into this podcast, they're going to reel that one in that bloody quick. So move fast, guys.
We're doing that now.
Only a cheeky 5 because he also could be the 19th man and not feature in the game. So note that one more importantly. Hey, Matty, let's get into our tips for the Halfback podcast for the remaining 6 games of the week. For all the office tipsters out there who have got no idea who to go with, they need a bit of a leg up. And the way we'll do it, Matty, and I tend to do this running through it with Sam in the past, we'll go who we think is going to win head-to-head. Honestly, for round 1, I don't think it's going to matter. It tends to be more in the back end of the season, but when it's a team paying $1.07 and a team that's like $8 and the line's like 24, we talk lines. But I think for this week, they're all pretty tight, give or take the Sharks-Titans game. So it's pretty all head-to-head. So let's start, mate. Melbourne Storm versus Parramatta Eels down in Melbourne. The Storm, $1.43, Eels $2.84. Who do you like?
I'm going Para. And it's not just because of this whole Lomax thing that's been going on. I know that Storm have that huge record and it's, one of the best streaks in the history of the sport, history of any sport really, but they've lost so many people. Like their team compared to their grand final team is so different. I don't know how, I think they're going to struggle. I don't think they're going to miss the 8 or anything, but I think for the first few weeks they're going to struggle and I think Para raring to go. So I'm tipping Para.
Sheesh. Yeah. I mean, I want to confidently tip the Storm, and I'm a data man, but I just look at it. They haven't lost there since 2001. I'm like, why would it be to a team that finished outside the 8 last year? But on paper, as you said, like you look at their back row this week. Like Loiero's out suspended, Sean Blaw's not there, Eli Katoa's not there. Their entire back row is out. They've lost Nelson Sofa-Solomona. Parramatta have a good pack, so I'm with you. I'd like from a punting perspective. I think odds-wise, Para's the play. Head-to-head tips, I'm going to go the Melbourne Storm. Mate, 6 p.m. over the Tasman in Auckland. The Warriors at $2.49, the Roosters at $1.54. Who do you like?
Look, I'll be cheering on the Warriors as a passionate South man, but the Roosters team is strong this year. I can't go past the Roosters for that game.
I'm going to call it an ambush, although it's a home game, so it's technically probably not an ambush. But as I said, I think the Roosters finish higher on the ladder this year. I think they can compete for a premiership. I just think Warriors round 1, underdogs, and then I think just the combo of Sammy Walker and DC, Benai Uelo's come in for Robson as well. I think combinations could be clunky, and I think it could take a little bit of time for them. Granted, they looked really good in that second trial game. But yeah, I'm going to go the Warriors head-to-head this one in a little bit of an upset. Broncos and Panthers, 8 p.m, water game, Suncorp Stadium, Friday. Broncos at $1.65, Panthers $2.16.
Keen for the game, but my 2026 premiers, the Penrith Panthers, are going to get the job done, I think.
Yes, 2026 premiers after narrowly defeating the Bunnies in the grand final once again.
Damn it,
mate,
bloody Penrith.
I'm with you. I'm going to go the Panthers. Sharks and Titans. The Sharks at Shark Park or Ocean, bloody whatever you call it these days, stadium, 5:30 p.m. Sharks is $1.26, Titans $3.90. The line there 11.5, mate, so we can probably throw that one into the mix too.
You want to talk about round 1 records? This one doesn't get spoken about how bad the Sharks are in round 1. They are terrible in round 1. They haven't necessarily gone on a streak of losses, but go through their record, man. It's horrendous. So if Jaden Campbell was playing, I'd be tipping the Titans, but he's not.
Wow.
I'm tipping the Sharks. I'm tipping the Sharks. I think they'll get the job done, but I'm taking that Titans 11.5 start.
I'm with you. And, I mean, trials mean nothing, especially when it's the Gold Coast Titans, but they actually went pretty well in the trials.
They did.
Sharks will win. Surely they buck this hoodoo trend, but Sharks to win, but Titans with that 11.5 start for sure. Lockie Gillis coming, he'll do a job as well, point to prove. Manly and the Raiders, 7:35 p.m. at Brookvale Oval, almost on the dot. $1.91 Manly, $1.93 the Raiders. What are your thoughts here?
I am stunned that these are the odds. I think that Raiders win and win well. I think it's the best forward pack in the comp versus the worst. I know the Manly are at home and Turbo's playing, but it's the battle of the four packs. Like Canberra steamroll them. So yeah, I have Canberra winning well.
Bit of a kick in the nads to the Raiders. Granted, the men from down south, we're used to it. No one respects them, but far out. I know they went out in straight sets, but minor premiers with a gun pack against Manly, who have big question marks over their pack, still not favourites. Yeah, I'm going to go the Raiders as well, mate. I think they deserve to be favourites in that game. Dolphins and Rabbitohs to finish up round one of the NRL season for 2026. The Dolphins, $1.84, Rabbitohs, $2. I think, along with Melbourne and far out, there's so many good games this weekend. I was going to say game of the round, but Broncos, Panthers, unbelievable. Storm, Eels, just with the whole Lomax stuff, unbelievable. The record on the line.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase. I think the most entertaining game of the round, the Dolphins, $1.84, Rabbitohs, $2 up at Suncorp. Who do you like?
So I'm going to put a promise to everyone for this year that I'm going to be totally 100% unbiased. I'm not joking at all. I'm not going to let it influence me at all, as I do on every other show. I seriously think the Dolphins are going to win this game.
Well, earlier on, you've already mentioned you've tipped the Roosters. You threw a few of their try scorers in. So as soon as I heard that, I thought, Matty's he's taking the bias out of this. So good for you, mate.
Yeah.
I am going the Rabbitohs with zero confidence. I don't know who's going to win this game. I really don't. It's a coin toss for me. A bit of value about them as well as outsiders, but going to be an absolute corker. Matty, that'll do us for the Halfback Podcast, our second episode of the season. Guys, go and tune into last week's if you want our futures bets and all of that. There's a few goodies in there. You can also listen to us talking about the winners that we got over in Vegas, which is even more exciting. So, look, we may or may not have many opportunities to do that for the back end of the year, so we're going to soak it up while we can. Matty, thank you. I was going to say as always, mate, but it's been 2 weeks, so thank you once again.
Thank you, Timmy. Good luck this week.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website